Welcome everyone. So you're probably expecting some armour today, but I decided to do something a bit different. Today is, well, Tamiya's Lotus Type 79 from the 1978 F1 season. So this kit was obviously bought at Handens, like most of my other kits that you've seen on this channel. And it's the first Tamiya kit I've done in a while, as you would probably expect something more simple from them, but this kit definitely has the detail. So here on the side of the box we can see the option for Ronnie Peterson's car, number 6. And next to it is the Cosworth DFV engine, an engine really popular in F1 for 1970s and 1960s. And here on the other side is Andretti's version with number 5. The paint scheme is an overall black with gold stripes for John Player Special, but well, since this is a decently new kit, that none of these decals are included as tobacco sponsoring was banned. So anyways, the build started with the main body. Here are these parts that I'm unsure what they are, but they were painted a green colour later, as that's what I found. And then the suspension was also added. This wasn't glued on for later painting, but it would have been better if somehow you could leave it out until the end, as well it kept getting in the way. So a bit of the fact about the Type 79. It won Andretti the 1978 Drivers' Championship and won Lotus the Constructors' Championship of 1978. Interestingly, Peterson also finished in second place behind Andretti, even though he didn't get to finish all the races due to a crash he had at Monza, which later ended up in him dying. So here are the brake discs. They were later painted up in silver and gold to match what they were like in real life. And well, here is all the parts for the first and second steps installed. As you can see here, the brake discs were joined into the suspension by the top and bottom. So here is the monocoque. Colin Chapman, the designer of Lotus for the 60s and 70s, was the first one to pioneer this throughout F1. And well, it did save many F1 drivers' lives, especially now in the present. If this didn't exist, then many drivers, including Joe Guan Yu in his Silverstone crash, would probably not be with us today. Anyways, the interior was painted up in a silver colour. This is not the exact silver that I wanted, but I did not have anything available, and gunmetal had to do. A brighter colour would probably be better for the future. So here, as I said, those parts on the side were painted green. This, well, I'm unsure what it is again, but it just adds some little bit of colour in this black and silver scheme. So to add on a bit of history, Andretti won 6 of the 16 races that season, and from now on, if I sound a bit different, it's because I managed to record 5 minutes of this audio, and it was actually going pretty good until I realised that I did not press record. Well, I mean, I guess it's happened to all of us. Anyways, the seat was painted in a black brown to stick out from that black of the car itself, as you know, from the modelling standpoint, it would just look as if you kind of forgot to paint it, especially if the rest of the car was black, and as if I just kind of airbrushed it whilst airbrushing the body, so yeah. So this part here, which will be covered by the radiators and side pods, was just brush painted with that gunmetal, as it wouldn't be visible anyways, and you know, I just didn't want to spend my time taking my airbrush out. And yeah, so this back was also painted in that gunmetal, and there's that little nub there to secure the engine later in place, so if you want to leave it detachable then you can. So here are those radiators. They were actually also pioneered by Lotus. I mean the side pods, and this gave the car a lot more downforce than what they had in the 60s, especially with the wings. And well, if you know any F1 history, this was later banned and then reinstalled in 2022, if I'm not wrong. But so now cars in F1 are back to the downforce era. Here you can also leave the wing detachable, which I did, as you'll be able to see everything under it, and you know, in painting you could also fix up some things if anything went wrong. So here the dashboard and steering wheel were also painted up. Everything on the dashboard is a decal, so you know, you won't have to spend your time tediously brush painting that. So here I started the Cosworth DFV engine, and well, rare sight to behold me glowing now. But if you see my hands in the way the whole time, it's because I did not have that much glue at hand, and I did not have time to get any. So if you also see me putting tedious amounts of glue on, that's why. So interestingly, the name DFV does not just stand for nothing, and was not just a design choice by Ford, but it actually stands for double four valve, or valve, which is, well, a V8, since you know double four is 8. This engine also debuted in 1967 in Zandvoort, and it actually made Graham Hill win. So, well, that just shows how good this engine was for its time. But later on in the 80s and even 90s, some really back runners, underfunded, still used this engine in the times where, you know, this was heavily outdated. So, I mean, it just kind of gets to show how reliable and cheap this engine was. So here are those spark plugs or valves, I'm unsure which one it is, but they are really brittle parts. I snapped one during the process, actually it might have even been 2, and then had to super glue them back on, as otherwise they would just not hold. This engine also helped Andretti, Jones, Piquet and Rosberg win the championship. Well, obviously in the peak years of this engine, where other engines were, well, no match for it, but Also the ground downforce era that Lotus introduced helped to, you know, give this engine even more speed input into the car. So yeah, this was a good combination for the time. And here you can see that I painted up the rear suspension, which was a mistake, as well I just later primed over it, which kind of put my work back to zero, but so here's everything joint, unpainted. The exhausts are also 2 or 3 big parts, and they actually look really nice, especially later when they're sticking out of the actual car body. This also gives you some opportunities for weathering if you want to do that, like maybe at the end of the season, to, you know, imagine what this car would have went through. And as you can see, the first plug on the right side is slightly bent. I think the second one on the left side is also, as well, that's how brittle they were. Any handling of this engine would just snap them. Well, I'm not sure what has happened for the last couple of, maybe like a minute or so, but I guess I forgot to press stop recording and you just get like 2 minutes off the DFV, so I'm sorry, but I can't cut that out. Okay, anyways, here are those huge back tyres and wheels. Also, the engine was painted up, so as you'll see in some time, the back wheels were way bigger than the front ones. Like, I'm talking around 2 times. Here you can see it. Well, I can't remember the exact use of this, but I guess it did somehow help them. So here you can see all these small details also painted up, and this does give some real visual interest to the model, with that gold, blue, green, red, little bits of silver, you know, all the colours in the mix. The front suspension also allows it to still turn, which is actually kind of interesting, but I broke this whilst recording it, so sadly it can't anymore, but when I was building it, it could. So decal was applied to the engine and the seat belt. I put masking tape under to give at least some sort of 3D effect, but I could have still worked this decal a lot better to make it look as if it was at least somehow like naturally sacking, not just there. Decals were also added to the car body, and well, since I'm no good with decals on the armour kit, what did you expect from me here? I managed to somehow ruin it, and all these gold lines were bent. So, smart me decided to polish the try polishing matte paint, and well, on the camera it does look as if there's a glare coming from the top, because well, there is light at the top, but I managed to rip these decals horribly, and this is where it all started to go downhill. I had to add a lot of gold paint back, and well, since I'm no good at painting small lines either, it does look a bit weird on the final product, but I'll let you judge that. Here I managed to rip that Olympus decal at the front, and there's a bit of that polishing cream in all these recesses, and it looked terrible by now. I thought of giving up, but I just decided to finish it off. So here is how it looks. From far it doesn't look bad. The front wing is also a bit ruined, but you know, if you look at it through, you know, like a fogged window with glasses or something, it might look like a totally great Lotus Type 79, but well, that's not how I'm looking at it right now, and I'm thinking if I do an F1 kit again, I need to get a gloss paint, as well, as you can see on these photos, the black remained matte and these decals just went on horribly. But anyways, that actually ends the build. Kind of quick, you know, it only took a bit of time, but it was actually pretty enjoyable. Tamiya also gave you that mesh that you can see there on top of the NGK decal. It's actually a really nice small detail. So since I'm going to Hannah's tomorrow, and they have a lot of car kits there, you know, I might decide to pick something up, as it'll be interesting to see how I can improve, especially as this was actually really fun, and F1 cars, especially these old ones, are well a really interesting topic, especially with these pipes and all this engineering, to see what you would think now is just normal, but then this was revolutionary. So anyways, as you can see here, only the underbody can be seen without anything on top, and this is how I actually enjoy looking at it, you know, all bare bones, none of the ripped decals, matte paint on, and it actually looks really great from here. But as I said, next car kit I do, you guys will definitely see an improvement. So well, if you're interested in this, I guess, well, thanks for watching. You know, I hope to bring more vehicle kits like this for the community that enjoy these kits. So well, goodbye, and there's a lot of videos ready, so expect that soon.